Welcome back to Clubhouse Chronicles, the place where Central Illinois music scene gets loud, proud, and unfiltered. I'm Twitt, your host with the most, ready to spin you the stories, the sounds, and the struggles behind the bands that are making waves right here in your backyard. This show is powered by our friends over at Broken Record Music Club, your favorite independent record label, bringing you music for whatever you are going through. With that, let's buckle on up because this isn't just a podcast. It's your front row ticket to the heart of your indie music scene. Today, we have a band that's been on my radar for a long time. Though they don't come directly from Central Illinois, they typically cross paths with artists and bands in the scene. This band came to be in Elmhurst, Illinois in 2023 and haven't let off the pedal since. From performing in the street to some of Chicago's most notable venues, this group has been providing jams that'll make you shake your yams. Anytime, any place, this band is on the case. I am talking about the laid-back grooves and oscillations of the Orchids. Welcome to the Clubhouse, everyone. We have Caden, the lead vocalist and guitar, Connor, the bassist. We have Matthew on lead guitar and backup vocals, and we have Kate on the drums. Welcome again. What's going on?
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Not a problem. We're glad to be here with you guys. Like I said, been super into your music lately, and the latest song, which we'll dive into later, was a jam, and I listened to it probably 10, 15 times in a row once it got on Apple Music, because I know you had a slight delay. But so happy to have you guys here. I was really surprised at first to see you guys are from Elmhurst. I have a personal connection to Elmhurst because I was born there, and a lot of my family has lived in the area, and they went to school there. So did you all come up together as a band because you lived in the area and went to school, or was it some other force of nature that kind of brought you into each other's lives?
Yeah, I'll go talk about this. So, yeah, we all went to high school together. I think I knew Kate since elementary school.
Second grade.
I knew Caden coming into middle school, and then Connor like high school. And we just kind of came together. They have a really good music program there at York High School. So that's how I knew Caden since middle school, but Caden and I kind of like started talking more around that time. And we started making music. And then Caden and I made like a few songs. And we got asked to do this kind of show beginning of junior year, so like 2023. And then we're just like, let's like get a band together. Like we asked Kate to do drums, and then we asked Connor to do bass. And then it just kind of went from there. It's pretty cool that we're still doing stuff. So
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, talk about like having a great bond as a band from starting so young. I mean, I'm sure over time it has really helped you guys develop as a band and, you know, getting comfortable playing with one another just because of those circumstances, right? So all this happens and you guys come together and form this band. The next obvious step is to get shows. What was kind of the progression there?
I think that might be another one for Matthew. He was kind of the Kickstarter for all this. I mean, I had fun like making and writing stuff with Matthew, and then I was also friends with Kate at the time doing our own songs. So I was more just having fun, but Matthew is behind the business side of things, trying to get us all together and play shows. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Matthew?
yeah, for sure. I think the first show, like I said, it was like a high school kind of thing. The second show we had, we just kind of asked around, just to get anything. I think a lot of times bands
Well, I think because we started to get our name out like right after that first show. There's a block party, like one of my neighbors was like, "Hey, your band want to play?" So I think that's when we started to get our name out more, like in the area.
Yeah, so that was the street performance, our second show out in the streets. We did another one. It's not in the street, but it's an Elmhurst Brewing Company. That one was really cool. That was outside too. But honestly, just like I said, a lot of bands don't ask, or a lot of bands just kind of like wait for people to come to them. And I think just kind of going ahead and even just not being afraid to be rejected, or even just asking bands like, hey, like, I see you guys got the show. Is there any way you guys have a slot available? We could hop on the set, you know? And that's how we got our Shuba show too. So I think just asking around honestly would be a good idea.
Literally playing in the street. I saw that as I was doing my research, and I was like, wow, what a long way. And then, you know, playing at Shuba's is you know, very big venue in the city. So the progression there is awesome to see that, you know, see you guys leveling up as you go along. So I just want to circle back. So you got all these shows, but how did you come up with the Orchids? Is there any story behind that, or?
I feel so bad like talking so much, but that's another question for me. So I don't know. I wanted to do something that sounds kind of like like something soft. I'm really big into the Smiths. So they had a huge kind of flower gladioli kind of thing. So I know I kind of wanted to do something with flowers. I just feel that they're kind of like they're nice and pretty and they're like, I don't know, but some of them are ugly. So kind of just that duality, I guess.
He just really likes flowers, I think. He just likes the flowers.
Big flower guy. So yeah, I want to do something with flowers. I just thought like an orchid, like the orchids kind of flowed better and sounded like nice, but not like too like preppy or like kind of silly. Like I didn't want to do the lilies or like the dandelions, you know. I don't know.
And I feel like it's a really distinct flower, and we have a really distinct sound. So I feel like that kind of aligns itself.
I mean, it's very fitting. Like you said, it's not a traditional flower. It has its own thing going on. So, and that's very much how you guys are with your music. So we go from these block parties, the Elmhurst Brewery. You really hone in your sound and the songs that you're working on, and then you start getting into the bigger venues like book club, like Shuba's, and then in the progression, you put out your debut EP, Lighter, in April 2020 of this year. How was the process of putting your first project together as a band? And was it recorded in a studio? Did you do it on your own? Like, I'm very interested in the songwriting and the creative process that bands and artists have. So feel free to spill.
I could take this one, but for the Lighter EP, it was kind of all over the place in terms of writing and recording. I know a lot of it was done writing wise between me and Matthew, kind of just in school during lunch periods and stuff, while we were still, you know, finishing up senior year. And then when it came to recording, we tried to do some demos in our school, and then we took it to a studio called Park Street Recording in Glen Ellen, or no, in Elgin. And so that experience was one of our first times in a studio. We had recorded our single Standing in the Rain at House of Music in Orland Park, and that was like a one-day kind of thing, and we just kind of got to experience the studio, and it turned out well. But our second time was in a more like DIY kind of space, and we spent I think it was 2 separate days there, several hours just kind of working through these songs. It took longer than we expected, but we got to learn about like recording process, things like that. And in the end, I don't think we even ended up using all of the recordings from that studio. We still used like one of our demos from school instead of the studio, and Connor did a lot of like our mixing for that project, mixing and mastering.
Yeah, I can take over. I come from more of a, like at York, music production and more of that technical side, rather than just like bass or songwriting. So I've had like a lot of experience with mixing. So I mixed Stand in the Rain, and I had like synths and stuff for it in the background, for the original one. And I did like everything else on the EP as well, just like making it sound the best it could. Yeah.
So you guys are just a one-man army. You don't need anyone else. It's just you guys, which is awesome to be self-sufficient like that so early on. It saves a ton of money, because I feel like the misconception is that all of this process stuff is super, super expensive. But when you have someone who can mix and master your stuff, and you have people that can write the songs and places to go to record, you know, it really pays off in the long run, especially for a young band like you guys are. I personally loved Lighter. It was a great project. For those of you who haven't heard it, Lighter by the Orchids is out on all DSPs. Go stream it now. The title track was my favorite by far. I thought just everything about it like really tickled my brain. A lot of people really loved Standing in the Rain too. All of these songs you guys have, you kind of mentioned that Matt and Caden, you split up that effort to songwrite. But does Kate, do you contribute? Connor, do you contribute at all beyond the mixing and mastering side of things?
Yeah, so Lighter was actually kind of just written in my basement because we were just using a microphone that sounded really fuzzy, and we were like, oh, this sounds like The Strokes, and we kind of just stuck with it and recorded this like quick thing we threw together. But I think we really polished it off. And there's some other parts, like I guess rhythmic things in some songs I kind of take the lead on, like, oh, let's add this, or I guess some structure stuff. But I think most of like the lyrics and songwriting itself are pretty much just Caden and Matthew take the lead on that.
I think when we make new ideas, Matthew and I kind of start with our own chords and like the feeling of the song. And once we take it to the other two, Kate and Connor, they help us definitely with structure. That's a big thing that we work together on to make sure it sounds, proper. And then, rhythmic stuff as well. Kate can come up with an idea to change it, make it more interesting. Same with Connor, just different ideas that can add to what we already have to make it different and also like work together the best it can.
100%. I think we all kind of do our parts. It's not really one or two people doing it. Like everyone has kind of their own unique things. Kate has a very unique way of drumming. Sorry Not Sorry has a really cool little like ding. I don't know what to call it. Like when you hit the top of the cymbal. And then Connor just, I don't know. We just like, it's always so crazy. Like Kate and I just like make stuff and we're like, yo, Connor, listen to this. And he'll just like do it. He never played bass. Like I think the first time he played bass, like truly was the first show. And he just kind of picked it up from there. But if you listen to his bass lines, they're always like unique. They're not just like root notes. So I kind of feel like we all kind of do our own thing. And it goes well, at least what people say. So
I would just like to add on that in the process, there's like a couple different like techniques, or at least that I add on, or me and Kate add on, like if this lyric is cringe or not, or is like if there's like a feel wheel sometimes that I know Kate and Matthew use to like start songs off. It's really just the structure and like if this sounds good, a more professional kind of lens from that as well. Yeah.
They're a good filter, fail safe, making sure it like is actually a good idea whether it comes to the chords or the lyrics or anything.
And I think we've taken some time. We've been a little late to our class's senior year. The senioritis is kind of kicking in, and we were just like stay in the practice rooms writing lyrics and songs longer than we should have. But I think there's some like our song Down and Out. I think we all four of us really contributed to that one. That's going to be out at some point, right? I don't know when the release is, but is that it?
Yeah.
I don't even know. but yeah, I think that's like one of the songs that all of us really take like a lot of effort to put into.
That's awesome. You heard it here first. New song out. I'm excited for it. But yeah, it's very awesome that you guys all attribute to everything. And like Caden said, it's like a good filtering process. Like if you think something sounds great and then, it goes through a couple people and they catch it before the final version, like it ultimately makes the song way better, makes it something that everyone enjoys. And that's what's most important, is the product that you guys are putting out is a product of your art and your talent as musicians. So that's really awesome. Like I want to kind of stay with the unusual drumming pattern that Kate has, because at first I didn't realize that Kate was the drummer. And so this next question is more specifically for Kate. Typically you don't see a lot of like mostly male bands with a female drummer. You see with like a female vocalist or a female bassist, never in the role of a drummer, and it's super uncommon, but it's refreshing to see. But Kate, how has being the only woman in the band kind of shaped your perspective, and how do you see yourself as like a role model for other people coming up in the industry? Because I mean, you guys are so young and your music is taking off. So how do you kind of view that and put that in perspective for yourself?
Well, I think it's a lot easier fitting in with this group because I kind of see them all as like brothers. I think we've all known each other for quite a while now, and we're just like we have that bond that's tight enough that I don't feel out of place. I feel like I fit in with the group just fine. And I've been drumming for a while. I was like the first female drummer in middle school even, so I guess like it's kind of been my thing for a while to kind of be that trailblazer in that way. And I take a lot of inspiration. There's some pretty big bands, like I think Flip Turn and Max Seal are two bands with female drummers, and I mean their technique and just their style is really intricate, and you know it's not like, unfortunately, Meg White kind of made a bad name for female drummers, but they take a lot of like jazz inspiration, and I try to build off of that. So I think it's just a matter of, you know, staying focused and continuing to do what I love to do.
Thank you for shedding some light on that. And the relationship you guys have is incredible, and that's going to take you a lot further, because I've worked with some bands that they've just been like trying to put pieces in, and you guys are so connected that it kind of takes that problem like way out of your mind, and you guys can just focus on what's important, which is making the music. So in your timeline now, we're kind of sitting, the EP comes out, and now you go, you know, you're playing at these bigger venues like Shuba's, and then you do like your little mini tour. You're out in Nashville. So how did it feel to get out of the comfort zone of playing in Illinois, and get another opportunity, knowing where you came from was the block party?
Yeah, so honestly, it was a lot of fun. I think even if it's just like one show, I think all bands should kind of just like do a little road trip. It kind of brings you together, and it's also just like a fun experience. The reason why we did Nashville specifically was because Connor and I go to Belmont University, so we're kind of stationed there, chilling. So then it was fall break. I went back home, and then I think I messaged a band from Nashville that are also Belmont kids, and we're like, "Yo, like let's do a show." So I kind of was the one that initiated that, kind of worked to build things up, and then we got a show, we got a date. Um, One of Connor and I's friends, he does like graphic design, so he did the little poster. So basically, I went down for fall break, and then when I went back to Nashville, it was me, Caden, and Kate who kind of just drove up there and then did the show. I stayed there, and then they went back. But honestly, that show was a lot of fun. I think it's really cool playing a show where nobody knows you, where it's just kind of like it's a blank slate. There's no like misconceptions or there's no talk about you. So it's really up to the music to kind of like speak for you, which I think is really cool. And I think it did well. I mean, people were kind of jamming, you know. It was a lot of fun for us.
Yeah, adding on to that, Belmont being such like a music school and such an art school, playing there, and then after the show, people being like, "Wow, you guys sounded so well together, so put together." Like just complimenting us in general, it was really cool to see from a lot of people who like are artists themselves and are in the scene down there. And it was a really good way to just expose ourselves to the people in Nashville more generally, like expand a little bit.
That whole place is just, it's music based, so to have that kind of reaction from an audience that knows music too on top of it, like that had to feel so reassuring to you guys and the progress that you guys have made. Earlier we kind of started talking about Field Trips, and I'm a huge fan of the song, and that was your last release of this year. And this is the type of song that you just kind of put on as you drive with the sun shining bright, windows are down. It's just great vibes all around. So knowing that was the last release, what do the Orchids have in store for fans in 2025? Music, more shows, like what? I'm eager to learn more, and tell us what you got cooking.
So for 2025, I am starting the year off gone. As the lead singer, I will be in Europe for 3 months studying abroad. But we made a plan before that in order to like keep the Orchids, I guess, continuing going, things like that. So while I'm gone, over the summer, we recorded 6 songs, one of them being Field Trips. So that one's already out. And there's 5 more that we have a plan to, continue putting out, even with, us not being able to perform. So we're going to try and keep releases consistent through that time. And then when we get home, we have some shows that are kind of sitting into place with some other interesting bands that we're excited to play with. But continue releases, and then over the summer we're just gonna find shows wherever we can.
I think, like Kaden said, we got some songs coming in. I think something about us is that we don't necessarily stick to the same exact vibe or feel for every song. Every song is kind of its own thing. And these next few releases will really show that. I think the next song we got coming out, it's gonna definitely show the difference of things we kind of do. It's still like the same topics, I think, that we're kind of singing about, and the same feel, but just the sound, it might be a little bit different. This next one really kind of gives into that whole garage rock kind of like 2000s era, where the songs are like super short, but it's just like super like oomph and just really just like driving. So that's cool. We have a meeting in a few days to kind of discuss potential physical music formats, so we could get that going, and then some new merch, hopefully. So I think the next kind of month or two might be a little bit slow, but we'll release music still. And then when it comes to the like late spring, early summer, that's like when we're really just gonna go like full gear, just like do as much as possible. Kind of just like, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I can't wait.
I should have said that.
That's awesome, and I'm glad that you guys are excited about the new music, and that it's going to kind of be a little bit different from things that people might have already heard from you. So it's always exciting to hear the new stuff coming in, and 2025 is going to be a big year. So I feel it for you. These final 2 questions that I have, I'm asking every guest that we have these questions, and it kind of pertains to the scene that you guys are in. So the first one that I always ask is, what are some of your favorite things about the Illinois music scene, and what has your experience been like as a part of it?
Something I think is really neat. Sorry, if somebody, I don't know if somebody else is going to take that. We're in such like close proximity to Chicago, and Chicago is just like a melting pot. There are so many different people, so many different like styles of music and genres, and fusions that people are taking on. That like you don't hear the same thing from everyone. I think everybody in Illinois, but Chicago specifically, has just such a unique sound, and it's really cool to be a part of that and to have our sound, be a part of that Illinois music scene.
Yeah, 100% with what Kate said. I mean, compared to kind of like Nashville, I think the Chicago music scene has very like unique kind of set of niches than what you might see in Nashville. Just because Nashville has so many musicians, but they're all kind of fall under the same kind of category. But compared to like Chicago, I mean, like you could go see a show, it'd be like a Midwest emo show, and then across the street be this like jazz fusion kind of thing. So, and just like, or like mixing the two into like one band. And it's just like so cool to see how these like Chicago people who grew up with such different cultures and such different lives kind of coming together and like being like, yeah, we have different lives. Yes, we have different cultures, but this is what kind of brings us together. And I don't think there's really a scene necessarily that does that for people.
It is a scene for anyone, that's the beauty of it. It's also kind of chaotic because there's so much going on. Like you said, there could be a Midwest emo show in one place, and then there's a rap hip hop show right across the street, and it's just so diverse, and it's rich, and it's cool to immerse yourself in, is what I should say. That's an awesome part of the scene. This is the last question that I got for you, but what artists or bands from the Illinois scene are you currently excited about or actively supporting?
One band that I really like, a little biased because it's one of my good friend's brothers, but Feed the Monkeys has pretty cool, like indie, kind of darker sound to them. I think they're from, I forget. They play a lot of Chicago shows. They play a lot of shows in like Normal, Illinois over there, and more mid Illinois. So yeah, they're a cool band.
I wanted to shout out Jenny Scara. We were supposed to have a show with her, but that did not happen. But I really dig her music, and some of the bands like she's played with, and that whole area of like Central Illinois. Yeah.
Wait, okay, I might cut this, but were you guys the band that was supposed to play with them at
Yep.
Cubby Bear?
Oh my
Possibly,
god, dude!
possibly,
Oh my god, yes.
possibly.
That was so fucking annoying.
That was a mess.
Oh my
Hey.
God.
We had posters and everything. We still have a shit ton. And
You want a
and they were-
poster?
And we're like,
Yeah.
they let us do it, yeah. And then they're like, they said it's okay, but we have to wait outside. And then they come up and they're like, yeah,
was-
you guys can't play. I'm like,
Oh.
dude, what the heck?
They let us
Yeah.
sit there for like 45 minutes. They were like, yeah, you can play. Just wait outside. We wait outside for 45 minutes until it was almost our time. And then they're like, actually, the owners changed their mind. You can't play.
We're like,
And
bro.
Mhm.
I had my entire minivan unloaded. Like we had to reload the whole minivan and leave. And it was a mess.
Well, my parents sold their Dave Matthews tickets to come see us, which I told them, no, you don't have to do that. And then I actually really, really meant it.
They were
That was quite the
they were
lecture.
they were not happy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because I think, like, I don't know if anybody else was, but I was still like 17. So I wasn't even like, I couldn't even play it off as 18.
Well, it was so funny because some of my friends were in town and we were staying in the city. So we had like gone out for like lunch earlier, and then we were coming to the show, and I'm like on my way to the show, and Jenny texts me and she goes, hey, both the bands on the bill couldn't play, so it's just us. And we're like, what? So we went in and we watched an hour and a half of Jenny, and then Cubby was just dead. So it was insane. I was really upset that we missed out on the combined draw because, you know, I had listened to you guys then, and man, that's so funny though.
Yeah, because both of the bands were like, they were both like, we're both seniors in high school, and like we signed everything, we're all set to go, and they were just like, you can't play. I'm like, oh, oh, you could have told us that like before. Yeah, there we go, Sylvia Plath. Yeah,
This is the poster from Cubby Bear, the show that never happened.
That's amazing. They still have them. Oh my gosh.
We have quite a few.
What could have been? Well, 2025, we'll have to get something together with Jenny and get you guys back in the city, and hopefully, or maybe not Cubby Bear, but get you at somewhere else and so you guys can jam together. But like I said, that was my last question, and big thank you to each and every one of you for coming out and talking to us about your music journey and sharing about your band. The Orchids, you can follow them on Instagram at the Orchids Music and on TikTok at the Orchids Official. And their music is available on all DSPs under the Orchids. You should really check out Field Trips. You should check out Lighter. They're fantastic. You guys will not be disappointed. But just like that, that's our show. You've been hanging out with Clubhouse Chronicles, where the sounds are hot, the stories are hotter, and the vibes absolutely off the charts. Don't forget, hit up at Broken Record Music Club on socials for all updates, news, and more about Clubhouse Chronicles. Until next time, keep it loud, keep it proud, and remember, Central Illinois is where the music magic happens. Peace.